flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Julie, do we have quorum? Item number 4, approval of agenda. Is there any change of sequence or removal of items? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda. It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda with no changes. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 5, announcements.
So, we had one of our students, go in, with the Young People's Conference, Congress, where Ms. Van Haren and Olivia Moore had, went to Philadelphia, and they toured the Philadelphia City Hall. They talked about getting goosebumps when they were, reading some primary source documents, and like we're learning right from the experts. So really great for them to see. They posted in Pittsville Record, as well as our school district posted it. So just really good stuff. A really neat experience for Olivia and Kate to kind of experience. So that's one piece. Fall sports have started. Football's on its way. Volleyball and cross country start next week. And so that's kind of exciting, getting back in the gear of school. And then we have a couple events coming up. Our Lottie informational night is this Thursday and next Thursday in the Fine Arts Center, as well as our registration night is set for both elementary and high school. And that is from 1 to 6 at the elementary and 4 to 6 at the high school on August 26th.
Okay. And I believe also on the 26th will be the ribbon cutting.
Oh, yes.
Lucy Garden will not start at 12:30. And then they will have the Panther Den will also be open as well during that time from Lucy's Garden, but then also through open house.
Okay. Is one of the chambers coming for the ribbon cutting? Like, are we pulling in like Marshall Rapids Chamber, or?
I do not know. The committee has reached out to people, but I have not been at the last meeting that they talked about, but they are meeting Wednesday, so I can ask that.
That would be a good idea. Thanks, Julie, for bringing that up.
I'm not 100% sure which way we go. My guess is Marshville, but I don't know.
Actually, the one that has showed up the most is the Rapids.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think extending an invitation to both of them, because I have seen them do a joint one.
It's Stacy Keevy is Wisconsin Rapids, K-I-V-I, and Denise Sonneman is Marshville.
Okay. And I know they did reach out to like donators, people who donated. They reached out as well to have them come and see what, some of them donated like a specific, they wanted a treat, or they wanted, to do certain things. And so they have reached out to those people who have donated as well. Okay. And the local media will be there. And I believe, and I believe also they've invited Channel 7 or Channel 9. Wonderful. I don't know if they've heard back, but I will put that in and find out from them.
It definitely invites both of them. It's doubtful if one will come, but always good to be joined.
Thank you. Any other announcements?
Well, then let's go on to number 6 and celebrate.
So obviously, we won the Turn Up the Beat Award. We were one of 4 Wisconsin programs out of 86 nationwide that won this award. So congratulations to Matt and his crew for providing summer meals for these students and having something nutritious each day that kids are in the building. So just great to have that in the summer months. I know Matt is very proud of that, and I know his crew is as well. So congratulations to them.
Good. I would like to have the minutes state that the board congratulates Matt and his crew, because it is pretty cool to be one of 86 in the whole country. So, way to go. Okay, item number 7, public comments per school board policy 187. It doesn't appear there's anyone here for public comments. So we shall move on to number 8, which is the consent agenda item. I think there may be some questions this time about some of the consent agenda items. So what I would ask is that we, I read all the items, and then I would entertain a motion in a second, and after that, I'll ask for further discussion. Is there any discussion? So, the consent agenda items: A, meeting notice certification; B, regular meeting minutes of July 14th; financial status of all of the funds, as well as revenue and expense statements; D, hiring. Number 1, a custodian; number 2, paraprofessional; number 3, administrative assistant; number 4, assistant cross-country coach. Item E, resignation. Mary Lou Masson as the administrative assistant for special education, and Maria Kuhn as junior high softball coach. And item F, the fall co-curricular contract. So is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the consent agenda items. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, so I reached out to Pam just to ask if she would take a few minutes and review with us all of the great new information that she's put here, just because reviewing it without her kind of overviewing it with us, it was a little hard for me. So I just thought it would be super helpful if she kind of walked through them with us. And whether we have questions today, I might save mine and just reach out to her after the meeting before the next one, right? Like, because we're creating new forms and new things, so it'll be able to like digest in, and then I can have some questions after. But I really appreciated today her willingness to be able to share with us a little bit of some of the new stuff she put together.
So Julie, are you asking for a review of all of them, or are you asking for a review of the new one?
The new one.
The new one, okay.
So I had a board member reach out last month to start providing monthly or quarterly statements of revenue and expenses. Now, school accounting, if you've heard the budget presentation, is a modified accrual. So things like payroll get accrued, but things like the levy don't get accrued right away. I usually accrue them at certain percentages at the same time every year so that there's consistency. So what I provided were statements of revenue and expenses for each one of the funds. Now, as you looked at them, they seemed a little chaotic because I provided several different formats to determine how you prefer them. My favorite, and you can, like, Jen, can you open the statement, revenue and expenses of Fund 50, down at the bottom left? Yep, open that one for me, please. And then maybe just blow up the titles on the columns. So I find this one the most helpful. So our initial budget, some of them will say original budget and then the revisions and all of that, and it gets down to the revised budget. The revised budget is what you have at the end of October, or if we make revisions throughout the year. So then each one of the fiscal year to date, FYTD, is as of the month I print this, so this is the 7th month, so that would be July. That's the activity that has occurred. So this statement shows our revised budget for both last fiscal year and this fiscal year, and then just July's activity. So then next month in August, you would have July through August activity. So then this shows how we're looking to see it. Oops. This is not page down. Where's my page down?
So this, as an example, then shows that district-wide, the revised budget was $494,000. Oh no, $396,000 for 25-26, and we've spent $679.
That's our revenue.
No, revenue.
Yeah, so that's all
revenue.
received in revenue in July.
Got it. So revenue, revised revenue is 396 for this, fund, and we received 660 of that, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And then it gives us last year's comparison.
Right.
Got
Then if we go up a couple pages, go back up to the top here. So like all we've gotten so far is our non-program food.
Yeah.
So that was just like adult meals, catering, things like that can be in there. In August, you'll see, we'll have some revenue starting to come in, but we're not gonna have any food sales. We're not going to have any food sales now until September. So then you'll start seeing, you know, the pupil stuff in there, the food service. So some of the other reports were a little bit more concise. So Fund 10, we just pull up the Fund 10 one. Yeah, thanks, Jen. So that's just current year. Now this actually shows, this again, is our October, it will be our October budget. Right now, this is only June, but it would then have our revision in October. This is our activity, and then encumbered. So encumbered means this is something I've sent a purchase order for, but we haven't received it or paid for it yet. So in Fund 10, that makes a little bit more sense because that's where the bulk of our everyday purchases are. Food service, that doesn't make any sense. And then the unencumbered just means, well, this is how much revenue we are expecting yet or how much we have to pay out yet. So there's so many different formats that this can be, but to see true, you know, this is our activity here today. You know, that's the primary bottom line. Again, the only thing that really gets accrued, we don't accrue all the revenue. We, you know,
That's in real time.
except, well, not all the revenue. So like levy is as it's received until the end of the fiscal year. State payroll expense is always accrued. The food portion of the revenue is accrued because they have to file the claim. So like September's claim will get filed at the start of October. I know what that dollar amount is. I accrue it for September. It's modified. So not everything's accrued, not everything is not accrued.
Okay.
So bottom line, every single one of these reports is showing you 25, 26, where the numbers are. Starting off the school year is very dismal because July and August, all it is money going out and next to no money coming in. So even the money we're going to get in August for our final part of our levy was actually money from 24, 25. So it was accrued in 24, 25, but we're unable to spend it because we have no cash from that August portion.
And so, thank you, really appreciate this. Is there the only piece that might be missing, helpful for at least myself, because I don't know it as well as you know it, it would be some alert on these if something is off what we planned it to be.
Sure.
Year to quarter to date, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you look at this and it's like, well, I mean, really appreciate last
Can
year
you go back
versus,
to the 51?
really appreciate last year versus this year because you can look and go, oh,
That's what I like.
right,
That's just-
like you spend,
Right.
you spent 6,000 this year and yes, we spent about 6,000 last year, seems to be hitting where we're normally at, kind of year to date versus that quarter. At least we're trending the same as last year versus, ooh, what happened? We were way up or way down. But even just you know, putting it in red or doing something, if something is off what you thought it
Something
was
that
going
jumps out, right?
right, something that you thought was going to be, just to alert us, so that, you know, we're keeping kind of on track with potential things that, you know, sometimes are out of our control, but it's just good to know about them as they're happening versus maybe at the end of the year. Awesome, thank you.
Okay. Could we go to, I have another question, because I'm always interested in the bottom line, and I'm particularly looking at things related to the last school year.
could we go to Fund 80? And go all the way down to the bottom. Well, actually, the third page, John. Bottom of the third page. Okay. Actually, let's go to the top of the fourth page. Okay, so I see in here, and this is the kind of stuff I like, okay? It's kind of weird. Okay, the first three columns are the school year that just ended. And the last three columns are the current year that we're in, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so what I see here, explain what I see here. In terms of, explain the year-to-date activity. So you show a loss. What is that loss?
So this is fiscal year-to-date
Right.
activities. That means that's just July. So it's
No,
July
wait,
1 to
wait.
July 31st.
But it says the 24-25 school year.
Yeah, that's.
Correct, July 2020.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, oops, sorry.
Okay,
And this one is July 2025.
got it.
The budgets are the complete annual budget, not
Okay.
just the 1/12, it's the full budget.
Okay, so this is in July. What is the story for the school, for the previous fiscal year?
Why does it look like there's a profit?
Well, no, it looks like there's a
Well, that's-
loss of 15,000
Just in July.
In July.
in July.
So this is not showing year-to-date June 30, 2025 until I get to June 2026. Then it'll show year-to-date June 2025 in the third column.
But that's what I want to know. Okay, I'll follow up.
Okay.
I'll follow up.
Last
July, we lost 15,000.
This July, we lost
July, we
15.
more.
Okay,
Yep,
okay.
right.
So is there a way though to show us, I mean, if these are monthly reports? Is
I can
there
do a
way-
monthly or quarterly.
Or year to date? I mean, like not just,
This is fiscal year-to-date. It's just because we only have July data. So this will be always year-to-date.
okay. But I see the third column, maybe I'm being dense here, but the third column, fiscal year-to-date activities for the 24-25 school year, which was last year. But I don't want last July, I want last year.
Yeah, so last year is the one before it, right?
No, the one before it is our revised budget.
Oh.
So this is fiscal year-to-date. I can show a column that shows prior year, full year.
Yeah, this will be the only month this will be the only report we actually see only 1 month, because if we get it in the next quarter, it's gonna be the whole quarter in that column 3, and then the whole quarter in that last column, because it's comparing the same period of time, not each month. Does that make sense? So like if we would get this in October, it would be fiscal year to date activity in that third column through October 2024, 25,
Okay.
and then October 2024, so it'd be like 3 or 4 months, however frequent she gives it to us, but you're right, it's not showing us,
I mean,
it is cumulative. It's not showing.
It will be, it's just there's only 1 month of data.
Right.
It will be cumulative going forward.
Okay, okay.
But I can add a column, they're gonna get really scrunched, but I can, if I get rid of like the original budget and only show revised, I can add a column that is like a final year-to-date, June 30, 2025 in here.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have anything comparative to it.
And that's okay, but and I personally don't think we need the original budget in here.
No, I don't think so either, I just provided it so you could see there are a lot of options
Yeah.
for what to show.
Right, but if you're giving this to us quarterly, this particular one, we're gonna see, how did we do that quarter last year
Correct.
compared to the quarter this year?
Yeah.
We won't see it each month, but we're gonna see it every time you give it to us, and then at 6 months, we're gonna see how we do the first 6 months a year ago and the first 6 months of this year, to
Yeah.
be able to compare it.
Okay.
Is that right, that this means that this year we budgeted to make $136,000 in Fund 80?
Oh, but that, a lot of that is levy.
Right, but, I know,
Well,
because, I mean, the loss.
Yes, because we have to levy the loss from the year before. So in
I see.
this one right here, we have
that's my ad.
that $100,000+ to cover the loss.
Okay.
So then going forward, I'll show revised budget for both years, fiscal year to date for both years, and do you want a June 30, 2025 final? And that would just be like a static column.
I would be interested in
Okay.
that. Yeah. I would be very interested in that. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or discussion items for the consent agenda?
So the only thing that I would say, and of course it's everyone's decision, but I'm okay with this quarterly, unless it's so easy to run that it takes no time and.
Once it is set up, it's a couple clicks of a button.
Oh, well then, yeah, I think quarterly is fine, but if it's super easy and we want it, included in the consent, that's fine, but if it's gonna take work, like, just looking at this quarterly, I think would be fine too.
I'm fine with quarterly for most of them, but I would really like to monitor that Fund 80 on a monthly basis.
I would say if we're gonna show one, we should show them all.
Perfect.
Or the Fund 80 should be in our committee meeting on a monthly basis. I don't wanna single out any one fund necessarily.
Well, if this is a board, at least for the last year, it was a board goal. So we can talk about that maybe when we
Okay.
have our board retreat.
Okay,
And if it's easy, then why not include us? That's totally fine. I just didn't want to create like a lot of work on a monthly basis when it would be enough.
right. No, once I have the basics set up, it's pretty quick.
Thank you for
Really?
doing that. I really appreciate it.
Good. Yep, I think this will be really good additional information for us. So, good. Other questions? Or then let's vote. All in favor of approving the consent agenda items, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, item 9, informational items only.
So,
Is it possible, Jen, to attach that to the agenda, what you're gonna show right now? It's not in the agenda.
Sure.
Or can you
It's
send
just
it-
linked, but yeah, I sent it.
Or can you send it to us in an email?
Yep.
I just can't really see from the.
I sent you all.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
With links
It was- Yeah.
on August 4th.
Oh, okay.
It's the same, yeah.
Okay.
so anyways, while Jen's getting that up, I'm just gonna go through a couple of things. We'll start with the student data first. And so, so out of 120 students which were in grades 3 through 12, all of it was electronic survey. We had 57, this is staff survey, just kidding. They did a student survey. Family, student survey, here we go. Here we go. Okay,
So, okay.
grades 3 through 12 electronically, and out of 405 total students in those grades, 341, we have 341 responses. So the rate of response was 84% in those grades. And kind of what we took away, why we kind of surveyed students is, just for feedback for us as administrators, but also to share with staff. The highs we're a very welcoming district, whether that's district office staff, whether that's principals, whether that's teachers or counselors. On the low end, and this can kind of go both ways depending on the students that you ask, the trust of that the school makes the best decision for that particular student. So let's say we don't offer a club that student likes, they might answer that low. A couple things that that I found from the data that we could work on is obviously student representatives, having them, be a part of this process, but also like getting input from other students. I think our goals from last year, our SEL goal, as well as, building-wide goals, getting input from students, finding out what their unique strengths and characteristics are, whether that's offering another sport or a club or something else that the community can offer. Something else that we can work on, which is part of our Law Day committee, especially at high schools, challenging students in academics. That was one that came in a little bit lower. All the results were pretty good, but those were just some of the lower end ones. So some of the positives, again, I said that before, welcoming informed students about what they're learning in class. That came in a little bit higher. And then supporting our struggling learners as well. So that's the student data.
Taylor, did we come up with these questions, or did we use like a standard scoring? Like, did we use something out there that we could benchmark our results against?
So
these just our questions.
These are our questions, and I believe they were given out the same questions as last year to this year. So we could kind of see.
Do we have those results?
I believe Mr. Knott does.
Okay. That would be really great. Yeah, that would be great to see.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
Are we strengthening it in the area?
Yes,
or?
sure. Yeah, and I had to take the data that we got and like formulate it into like a separate thing to get like specific, so it's just that chart.
Yeah.
Which is kind of thing. So I can do that with the last year's data as well. So thank you, and I'd be willing to do that. So, and it was given out to students, staff, and families as well last year.
Well,
so just
a huge kudos to the participation rate. I mean, that is pretty amazing to have that kind of thing, unless you gave them something.
No, it was just kind of yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty good,
Yeah.
that's a success. That speaks actually, even if your trust factor you identified might be a little bit of an area you can grow in. The fact that people felt comfortable enough and they trusted that it really was anonymous to be able to share, actually speaks pretty highly of the trust. So kudos to the volume of kids that took that.
That's the students one. The family survey that was sent out. So in our district, we did a little crunching of numbers, and this is maybe an about, it's not exact. So we have 273 families in our district. So when you see 246 responses, that could be different households, that could be different parents. What I can tell you is that it was sent to 479 emails, and 99 were also a text message. So there's no duplicate, but sometimes, students live in different households, so that might be 2 of the survey results. Does that make sense? So with that, we had 246 responses out of 479. I just calculated off of the emails, which is a 51% response rate, which is still pretty good.
That's pretty remarkable.
Some takeaways here. Our lowest number, which I think we're going to be doing a better job of when we talk about our goals and strategies, is making more positive phone calls home. Sometimes, we get in the groove of the year and we, sometimes it can continue to be the same student parent that we call, but I think more positives that we can.
You might want to warn them.
Yes, yeah. And actually, we did, yeah. We did.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's something we can work on, I think, as a district, and I think as a staff too. Making.
Wise too, we're hoping to get a newsletter going out, figuring out how often, how much information to put into it, but trying to increase communication with them too, through some sort of newsletter, whether it's digital or paper, sent home to students. We want to bring that to the district too, because there's nothing right
Another thing that we can work on is educating parents on how they can support their students at home. So that came back as one of our lower numbers. Again, not terrible, but something that we as a district and as admin and teachers, we can do a better job of kind of how to help. If the student comes home with homework, how do we help them? So a couple things to work on there. A couple positives, again, was very welcoming, whether that's office staff, principals, teachers, counselors. Students feel valued, and the partners with businesses to promote student learning. So those were a couple of our highest responses. And then for staff, so out of 120 staff, and this includes our substitute pool as well, 57 responded, so 47.5 response rate. Obviously, we'd like that a little bit higher, but getting towards, that halfway mark. But a couple things to work on here, informed about events, meaningful feedback, and I think with that, having a new system in place, I guess you could say, with our educator effectiveness model that was sent out to staff for some feedback there, trying to get their input on things. Student discipline came in as a little bit lower, but again, trying to be, last year, we changed the handbook over, so trying to be really consistent, for K-12. But I think that goes with the discipline a little bit.
Well, can you expand on that a little bit? Because obviously this is a problem. And these are really bad, this is a bad score for the discipline. And the teachers are seeing it firsthand.
Sure.
They're dealing with it firsthand. They're basically telling us that what we're doing now is not working.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if we need to be a little tougher on these kids or what. I mean, they're getting the students back and they're probably just coming back in and screwing around again. So, who's that fall on, right? Right.
Absolutely. No, and I think, us as new admin, trying to make that connection piece. Ultimately, the goal is to get that student back in the classroom, because otherwise learning doesn't occur. And so, trying to build that relationship up, whether that's maybe an exchange where us as admin need to go into that classroom to build that relationship. I had a couple of experiences with that last year where, that teacher built that rapport after they were sent out. I took over their classroom to keep that learning going, but the ultimate job is for us to get that student back in the classroom.
So Mr. Klein, he goes in, he deals with a lot of these troubled individuals, right?
In that building.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
In that building.
Right. And then, I forget, here, first line, they go to, right to you?
Yeah.
All right. So is there an issue there with Mr. Klein, or, because, when I used to go to school, you screwed up, you go to the principal's office, and, well, there were a few things. But, and you really, it scared the hell out of you. And, you didn't want to be there. And apparently, we're not being tough enough. It's just gonna have to.
And being new admin though, we're trying to implement new systems, and that takes time. And it takes everybody on the same page, and it's a learning. Some staff need to unlearn behaviors that they've had in the past on how things were dealt with and how many times they called for assistance. And sometimes there's times where it could have been dealt with in the classroom, but it was called out, and then anybody on our student service team will go, including myself. And so it's kind of, we're working through processes and getting there, but it's not going to be an immediate change.
So do you feel like sometimes your hands are tied when it comes to some of the disciplinary actions? Or you feel like it can be handled properly?
I feel like, for the most part, we're able to handle it. Us communicating with families and making those connections early on with families, again, doing the positive interactions with families helps when we do have to make those tougher phone calls. But I feel like any of our staff members are not hesitant to move forward and, to discipline where it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
Or what we are working on as a staff is to reteach the behavior we want to see, rather than just pulling them out and giving them a consequence does nothing. And I feel like in the past that could have been what has happened, but we need to reteach expectations. And so at the start of the school year, we are going through expectations and everybody is walking through the different areas and all the expectations that we see. So when those aren't followed, we can say, okay, then we're gonna review them and we're gonna redo them. And if we need to, we'll take some extra time to do that with those students.
Because how do you feel, there's 3 areas under the staff survey that fall under 3, which would mean that, you know, that would be they're less favorable than favorable, right? Do you feel like you have a good handle on what would drive that to be a higher score? Or do you feel like part of maybe your staff in service and kind of what you're doing is asking staff, like, we saw your score, we see that, like, what would improve that score? Like, what, is there additional support? And, or do you already feel like you know what it is and it's just you're working with some staff on, this was some old behavior of what we were looking at and we're trying to change it, and in that process of changing it, yeah, I'm still not quite happy yet, like, I'm still working on that process. Because, again, I mean, the only reason you measure scores is to know where you're at, to then be able to make change, right? Like, a score isn't bad, a score is a story that helps you know, like, what that looks like. So just my suggestion would be, if you don't feel that you know exactly what is all entailed in that those might be the areas to actually ask staff, like, what would it take for you to move the needle on that being a better situation for you? Because in my life, I've guessed way too many times, and a lot of times I'll guess wrong, and it's like I worked really hard at something that didn't move the needle because I didn't really ask the person what would move that needle. So that's my main feedback on it. But again, so I think other positive things here too.
Yeah. I think too, you know, the ones that scored 4 and 5, I'd love to dig a little deeper in to say, like, okay, what works in your classroom versus what doesn't work in, you know, our ones.
Well, and how can you keep it at that? Correct, right? So what's working well that we don't change?
And it could be, you know, especially with different teacher, you know, biases, you know, maybe it's, you know, a student that was always, you know, being disruptive in class, and then, you know, they feel like they didn't have a say, or, you know, maybe it's just us having the conversation, and I thought we did a pretty good job of, you know, including the teacher on whatever the discipline was, or asking the teacher before we decided a consequence. And like I said, you know, like, coming in as new admin, we'll be learning new things and trying to make those connections. But I truly believe with student service staff, I think being on the same page, using consistent language is really a powerful thing.
Well, the thing that jumps out to me at this is the word consistent. And I wonder how much, I hear Rick, you know, this former teacher chuckling about that. But just if some feel that the rules are not being applied consistently. Rick, why did you chuckle?
They aren't being applied consistently.
Based on your experience when you were a teacher?
No, based on my experience talking to teachers. They feel in many cases, and I don't know who gives what ratings,
Okay.
but they feel in many cases that students are sometimes rewarded when they're sent out of the room, as Chris said, not punished, there's no detriment. I don't know for a fact, but I've heard sometimes the kids would rather go to the discipline room than stay in the classroom, because it's a better situation for them as far as rewards.
Okay.
So, and that's not my experience as a teacher, that's my experience talking to teachers.
There are a lot of assumptions, because when that child goes out, the teacher doesn't know what happens, they don't know the conversation that happened.
They don't, but
They
when the
see when
teacher,
it comes back, but there was a lot in between.
when the student comes back with a reward, it does not look favorable to the rest of the kids or the teacher. And you're right, they don't know what happened when that student went out. They only see when the student comes back.
And a reward might be food,
say, that
But that might be what they needed. They were hungry and their behavior was because they were hungry. And so that is sometimes.
And there's 18 more kids in that room who might be hungry, who aren't acting out. But now you're seeing the kid come back with food, now you're gonna have trouble with 17 more kids. Just my thought.
Well, it sounds like a great opportunity
Yeah.
of, you know, as you guys are working on like how you all come together and how, I mean, I think it's just as much around the communication of all of that and like how to all be on the same page as it is about what's actually occurring. And
I think discipline is really hard. It's
It
really
is.
hard
It
because
is.
every kid is different.
it is.
Whether they need this or need that, or whatever they need at that time and that time study, whatever, you know, that's so different. And I guess the ultimate goal is for that student to get back with the same age peers.
Well, and the
Then
truth of the
get into the
matter is,
classroom.
they're all different.
Yeah.
And let's just
Staff
be
are all
real,
different.
well, we're all different.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
every single human is going to approach it
Very
different because like that's just part of being human. So, yeah. So again, there were 3 areas. The other I actually think probably has a lot to do with all of the new things that we're starting to put in place. And those new things are like, oh, but we're not doing what we invested in for 5 years, and there's probably still feelings around some of those things and kind of what all that looks like. And that's also an amazing opportunity to see where you can go, like in the next year. So,
I guess on the flip side of it, you know, with the staff surveys, the positives that were taken away were that they feel valued and cared.
yeah.
The overall working experience, we have high expectations and take pride in that. We have a high quality academic programming. They trust the district admin and schools. They have open dialogue with their district administrator, and they trust their admin. So on the flip side of all the things that we need to work on, that's a powerful right there.
Those are big improvements.
Huge improvement.
Very, yeah.
So, yes, that's the data. Any questions? I guess the next steps would be during our PL days, us as a staff, as our admin team will sit down with staff and kind of go over, you know, what are our next steps, like the discipline, maybe talking with staff too, of like, where do you see the loopholes are, and how can we become better?
And just a note, it doesn't even have to be in a board meeting, but if Jason wouldn't mind sending out just a comparison.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we're asking the same question, I think that's fabulous. Yeah. Because then you can really celebrate the successes of where you're making improvements. And then it's also just a really good story if there's an area that takes a slide, even if it's really high, but it's taking a little bit of a slide, like what are we losing that was working really well? Sure. Thank you. You bet.
Good job. Okay, and that was under,
District Administrator update.
yeah, okay. What's my,
School board goals.
school board goals, okay. Okay, school board goals. Is there any, okay, excuse me, but I clicked on the wrong thing, and I think I have, I know I'm in June. I don't know how I got to June, but. Okay. Yeah, okay, school board update, there, now I'm in the right place. Okay, school board goals update. The first item, or first goal that we're gonna talk about tonight was the alternative funding. I know that the subcommittee hasn't met since our last meeting, but, our admin team has a report.
Yep, so we gave a survey out this year to staff of what fundraisers that they use in their classroom, and where they're requesting, or what, I guess, where they're requesting this from. So you'll see in those, it's mostly like teaching classroom things. So 2 of them were from Donors Choose, 3 of them were from Amazon Wish List, 1 was a grant and 1 was a Scholastic, and then
Do you think we have that?
I sent it to you as well. Sorry.
Okay.
It should have been,
It was sent on
this is August 4th.
August 4th,
Okay.
yeah. Yep.
So I guess with that things.
I didn't get it either.
Oh,
Maybe I just sent it to you,
I got it.
I bet. Maybe I just sent it to you because you were requesting it. I bet you did.
that could be.
I can share it with you right now.
Awesome, thank you.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. You did send it out.
I did.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, should have access. Thank you. Yep.
Yeah.
So you'll see, most of our staff don't currently use fundraisers, for their classroom, but some of them use, you know, a couple, for instance, Amazon, which lets donors choose. And I guess the main point behind this is some of the bigger fundraisers aren't included in this, and I can kind of speak on that. So like, for example, Lucy's Garden, that fundraiser items weren't in there. The Spanish trip, that they're funding for, obviously they just host a trivia night, as well as they sell their bubblers, both middle school and high school, sell bubblers during the school day, not during breakfast or lunch. That's a little fundraiser that they do. For example, Educator Rising with Olivia Moore to fund her trip. She made cookies to sell, and then our summer theater program. So again, we could go down a deep hole with, you know, including athletic stuff and how they fundraise and all that stuff. I guess maybe what do you guys want us to report back to you with certain items, or what do you guys want to know?
Okay, first of all, in my conversation with Jason, I believe he talked about now there's going to be a process that involves the building principal.
Sure.
So teachers just don't set up a GoFundMe, they inform.
Yes, so the process is that they come to their building principal and let's say they need furniture, for example. Well, then we sit down with Pam and Jason and figure out like, well, what was it budgeted for? If it wasn't budgeted for, is there another means of funding that the school district can provide? If that's not the case, you know, can we wait a year? Does it have to be right now? I think that's a conversation, and I think it depends what the item is that they're looking to fundraise for. But that's been the process in place. So they always come to us first, whether it's, you know, furniture or pencils, or, you know, maybe they're new staff and they want notebooks in their classroom. So I think that that's the process that's in place. Again, it will continue to be that process moving forward for staff. So.
Okay. What I personally would like to see is for the admin team to get together and identify what I would call larger needs or longer term projects that could potentially be handled by grants. I'll use as an example that summer theater program. Now, I know that costs about $5,000. If they got a $3,000 grant from the Green Bay Packer Foundation, which they won't be eligible for another 3 years. I would shudder to have something in the newspaper 6 weeks before the program asking the community for money. I would rather see the folks that do a wonderful job with this program identify some strategies because what we really want to, at least what I want to be able to do, is to show the community that we're not just going to the taxpayers for everything. The other thing, if we're serious about new playground equipment, which I think we are, that needs to be on, and maybe there's this ongoing list and maybe there's the big list or the capital list or something like that. Because we're not going to get new playground equipment unless we take the first step and, you know, identify funding sources. You know, and it's probably a combination of grants, maybe some local fundraising, things like that. But you gotta have a strategy. You can't just say, oh, we need a playground.
Yeah, and I think this year, having, Jess Kiefer kind of take that over
Yeah.
for the grants, for the, looking up grants, what is available out there? Let's just say English needs this, for example. Well, Jess, would be in the communication of like, hey, Jess, can you look up any grants that would be applied for whatever we need in the classroom? So having that person kind of look at that, because it's a lot. I mean, you don't just write a grant and it's one page. It is question after question after question, and that's okay. But having someone kind of not glued to it, but like looking for things.
Will that process also include that anyone who's looking for a grant, it will go through Jeff?
She will be included, absolutely.
Okay, great. I think that actually in and of itself will, like, to have everything funneling through. Now, I don't mean someone putting on nails on.
No.
That's the school
Or
supply.
donors too.
No, correct.
Not at all.
No,
Like,
no, that's the building principle.
yeah, that's just knowing there's an ad and go forth and let your mom,
Do it.
cousin and
Yeah.
Sally.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? I mean, but just even having that, single point of someone keeping track of not only what might be out there we can apply for, but then who also all has the need. And then where
Yeah.
might those matching happen? Not that she's the person that necessarily says yes or no, or that she has to write them all and also be responsible for all the reporting requirements, but she's the gatekeeper and she's
Correct.
holding it together. That's a fantastic addition. That will be very helpful.
But still, I believe there's a role for the admin team to identify priorities, whether it is instructional, whether it is non-instructional but necessary, like a playground, or whether it's, hey, the washing machine that washes everything is, or we need a new dishwasher, or, equipment for the food service program, or things like that. You've gotta set priorities.
Yep, we can do that.
When we met for projects and capital, did we start priorities at that meeting? So, one time.
That was like a year ago.
I think we actually met 3 times. There
There
were
was a
no,
couple, because we did a walkthrough too.
right, I think we
Yeah.
met at least 3 times. I don't know that we actually set any priorities. We did review what was on the list and we did add to the list.
I think the homework was for the individuals to try to look at and piece your priorities, but we didn't as a team or anything like that.
It is harder to find funding, external philanthropic funding sources for building things, or, unless, you're gonna build a gym and you're gonna name it after someone, or an auditorium and name it after someone. But I think that goes back, Danny, to that whole concept of what are our priorities? And, yeah.
I think it's important to keep that lens of knowing, like, it has a date and how long things have been around too, and what Dan Giles had deemed was important for servicing in the very near future, so keep it in mind. Like, we could add this to our district, where all of our directors and admin come together and have something to talk about, not just the principals.
Yeah.
His expertise would also come into play.
Yeah.
And Michael, I don't know if there's IT grants that out there, tech grants that we should be looking into too.
It's a little tougher.
It's tougher.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I'll add it to the agenda.
Well, and when you have the list, it's twofolded. It's your priorities and the priorities of available funding, right? So it's being able to match it both ways, because sometimes something might be item number 5, but there's this amazing opportunity that's available that pays for item number 5. So item number 5 just got prioritized. Because it's not gonna pay for 1 through 4. So it's kind of a combo of both. Awesome. Thank you for doing that.
yeah. So I think this is still a work in progress, but I think we're getting much more organized. And so I see it as real positive. So, very good, very good. The second one was enhanced communication with the public. You chatted, and I don't think we've had a meeting on this, but you did chat a little bit about communication with parents and looking to enhance that.
Yep, I wanna be more proactive and have some sort of like resources, have a special education section, do like a highlights and, our social worker has a whole bunch of different resources she wants to share with me. And there's emails that go up, I think just having something in your hand or something to sound like,
Yeah, yeah. The other thing is, I believe that, huh?
I tell me during the system.
Yeah, me too.
Well, you're gonna get cut off pretty quick if you don't.
You'll get a grace period?
Yeah, well, there is a grace period depending on,
Who you are.
like right now, I still haven't cut off the people that were due June 1st. You're watching.
Can't you do the rules like you have to be the last person?
No,
Just
no.
pay once and.
no. No. Okay, but I do think that community, I mean, it's fabulous with informing the community. And I think it's going to get routinized more this year. I think the teachers have more of an expectation, I know the building principals do. And I think we're gonna be involving students to a greater degree. So that's all good. Childcare. Has the childcare group met, or are there any updates on
Never
that?
planned through the year and you have the handbook, so now
Mhm.
we're seeing how it goes.
We have a open house, I didn't know to speak on this, or I would have brought the flyer with me.
The 20th.
It's the 20th, and they have a food truck coming, 10% of the proceeds go to childcare. Free enrollment is like, they waive the registration fee, I believe. Don't hold me on any of this, I don't have the brochure in my head, nobody hold me to this,
No. Here you go.
But you have it, okay, well,
Send
yeah.
it to everybody.
And we have a referral bonus, and we have a sign-on bonus, up to $300 per student.
Oh, send it.
Where are we at?
Pardon?
Could you report
Okay.
back to us in, what month are we in?
Yeah.
In September? In September, can it be on the agenda just to let us know where we're at with our enrollment numbers versus what we wanted our enrollment numbers to be? So I'm not asking what we are, but we know what we were shooting for in September. It'd be great just to get an update on what we were shooting for and where we're at. Thank you.
Okay, I'm trying to forward this on to you folks, but I'm not good at multitasking. So I will get it to you though before the end of the meeting. Okay, and then, item C is the WSB Fall Regional Meeting, going to be November 4th in Rothschild. I would ask that, I believe that's Wednesday, I would ask that people check their calendars for this, for their availability. There is going to be, in addition to like people getting awards and, like the legislative update and all that, there is going to be an interactive session that has to do with board effectiveness. And it sounds interesting. So I'm planning on going for sure. Check your calendar, see if you can make it in carpool. Any questions about that? Okay. Then go on to number 10, discussion action items. Item A, the restraint seclusion report. Is that you, Danny?
Yep, that is me.
Okay.
All right, so we can zoom in to our numbers. Pittsville Elementary School was the only one that had documented restraints and seclusion. At a glance, it looks like a lot. I'm gonna walk you through it a little bit here. All right, so we have one incident of seclusion in which a student needed to be secluded in a room. There was only one window that they could go out of, the door was shut for their own safety and not of others. There was a total number of 7 restraints, and 3 of those, it was 7 restraints among 3 students with disabilities. That's what the table says. One of them for the seclusion as well, students with disabilities. So after we were looking at 3 students, so it's hard not to give you like the exact data, but when we looked at those 3 students, the first one had both incidences in October. The behavior intervention plan was created, put in place. No more incidences. The second child, 2 in October, a behavior intervention plan was put in place. No incidences. Till April, there was 1. It was renewed. We met together to create a new behavior intervention plan, and then there was none the rest of the year. And the last child, there was 1 in October, 1 in November, and in the process of those, we started a functional behavioral assessment, implemented a behavior intervention plan. There was no seclusionary restraint after that had been put in place as well for the rest of the year. So it was a heavy fall for many involved, but our school psychologist and myself, we hit the ground running. We made it an effort that we were going to tap into students' function and their behaviors, what was truly going on, be able to help the student, help the teacher. The data speaks for itself. I wish it would include the actual dates that they occurred because it gives a better picture than just looking at the numbers. Because I believe that they are higher than last year as far as what is documented.
Actually, quite a bit.
Yeah.
We've been in situations where I've been somewhat amazed that like we might have 1. Like it's been, so,
Yeah.
and again, 7 when you're talking about a couple students.
Yes.
It's still low, it's just larger than
Yeah.
the one that we probably had for a really long time.
Another key part, going back to my review with you guys back in June, I believe we did our review. Part of our budget, it was budgeted for, was de-escalation basic skills training that's going to be given to all staff. We're going to make it part of our November 3rd in-service because right now there's a lot on our in-service agenda for August. CPI trainings included. And I plan on doing a refresher for that for staff who were certified last year as well. I'm officially CPI certified trainer, so I did that for 3 days in points and 4 hours online. So put the time in, now we can have it here. And I was talking to Pam about that too. We can possibly open that up to other area school districts. When I hold a training, I can ask my neighboring districts, who are small, Auburndale, or Cruza, hey, do you guys need to send anybody over here, so we can profit possibly.
Are we going to charge them?
Yeah, but we can support students in other districts by training teachers as well through our district, without having to rely on CSA.
Thank you for getting trained.
Yeah.
That's an asset. for
Every year I
our
see these reports, I think back, and I wonder if they kept these records with ours back. And I'll bet you they didn't.
Or they didn't
district.
find
I'm on paper.
Yeah, they didn't define it right. So, yeah, that's pretty interesting.
What was restraint?
What type of restraints are we using? Are they all CPI?
Well,
or
well, backwards. You have disengagement strategies, if the student grabs you, you can safely remove the student off of you, and then we have child hold strategies that you can do seated, you can do a standing one, you can do a demonstration someday. I don't know.
Training military.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Actually, that's
It's
great.
heavy. The good thing I would like to report too, CPI training, Crisis Prevention Institute, Nonviolent Crisis Intervention training, it has shifted over the past couple of years. Within the last 2 years, they changed it to a 3rd edition, and so now it's very person-centered and trauma-informed. They're heavy on the proactive behavior strategies, knowing what you're getting into before you even escalate a student. They spend a lot of time on your precipitating factors, understanding that my behavior, my attitude projects to a student, and I have to have, that's part of the integrated experience, is setting myself away from a child who's in distress, knowing I have my own triggers, I need to tap out, the same you're going in. But being able to recognize when you have your own triggers too, because the adults are triggers too.
And the plans that you put in place for the kids, which is great then that you didn't need restrictive measures, my guess is that I agree, and I'm pretty passionate about the fact that we re-traumatize every kid every time we lay our hands on them. I mean, like, especially when it's in a restraint type situation. And so the idea of, I mean, everyone doesn't seem to agree with me on this either, but even seclusion in my mind is better than a restrictive, than a restraint, because you're not putting your hands on someone. I mean, you might be separating them, but at least you're not putting your hands on
Have you
them.
been in the training, the third edition at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, they show those videos of kids talking and the older kids talking about their experiences when they put hands on them and how a kid will still.
Yeah. Well, most of the time, unfortunately, there could be other things that have happened that you're just re-traumatizing something else that's
You're
going
bringing it back
on,
out.
in their life. And so, that's great. And I'm really excited that you're trained in CPI. and
It's a lot more work, but I think it's what's best.
I would entertain a motion to approve the restraint seclusion report for the past school year.
So move.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the restraint seclusion report for the past school year. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item B, the annual notice to parents.
I'll make a motion to approve the annual notice to parents for 2025-2026 school year.
I'll second the motion to approve.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the annual notice to parents for the 25-26 school year. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item C, resolution to assign fund balance, Fund 10 reserve.
So there were none this year, because all of our purchase orders were completed, received, and paid for by June 30th. So we had none.
Wow.
So we don't need an approval.
We don't need an approval, there is no resolution.
Fancy.
Wonderful.
Very good.
That's good to hear. Item D, set board retreat dates. I would like to ask board members to consider dates when they would be available on Wednesdays. Wednesdays seem to have worked the best for us in the past. Whether it's in August or in September. At this point in time, I'm open every Wednesday in August.
Wednesday look good for me too.
I live in September.
What?
You would need September?
Yeah.
And I'm not available on the 10th or the 17th.
Yeah, I'm not available the 10th.
How's the third one?
Works for me. September 3rd? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Jen, could you please send out a meeting invitation for that date for all the board members and for Jason?
6 o'clock?
Sounds good to me. What do you say?
6, Jen.
Okay, thank you. The next item, item E, is the automotive lift project. Any questions about the memo that was written?
This is taken out of the auto budget, and specifically donations to be paid for this project.
Any questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve the administration's recommendation to proceed with NAPA for the automotive lift project.
My motion to approve the NAPA getting the automotive project.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the bid from NAPA for the automotive lift project. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item F, the employee handbook.
It looks like there's very minimal changes,
Yeah.
just, so I'll make a motion to approve the update to the employee handbook for 25.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the updates to the employee handbook for the 25-26 school year. Any discussion? If not, let's vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. SRO program assessment.
Do you guys have a PowerPoint?
We don't have a PowerPoint. We have a 2-page
Oh, perfect.
summary.
Yep, that's what I want.
Oh,
Are you doing
I am doing it.
Can you send it to us?
Yeah.
Chief Stewart cannot make it.
Okay.
No, I have that, but if she has something else.
She has a PowerPoint.
yeah. I have just a 2-page thing.
Right.
Is vaping getting to be thinner? You see a lot more vaping every year, seem like?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's our heavy hitter.
Yeah.
And again, it's repeat offenders. It's not like,
Are you seeing much in the elementary,
we're middle school.
middle school?
No, there is.
There was, intermediate one, but.
Okay. So like 6, 7, 8.
So here's our SRO incident involvement. The next slide, Jen, please. It's just the incidents over the year, and they're broken out into incidents, citations, and juvenile referrals. And as you see, we've had an increase in incidents.
Jen, you have to give us back to us,
Yeah, we can
Sorry.
get in.
or I just need to know.
I think it's his presentation.
Oh, I have to do it. I don't think that, doesn't he have to do it?
I'll just move so I can see.
All right.
So then the next slide, is broken up between high school and elementary. Over the last 3 years. High school was pretty similar, elementary, was a little bit more.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And it's also new admin, so might be that we contacted for just like for reassurance and questioning. And I don't know if that is what is indicated or if it usually wasn't anything major that like we needed them, but we did contact just to have that reassurance that what we were
Okay.
doing.
And it could be
was
things like, not following school rules, it could be bullying, it could be
Especially
theft.
since who we have in that role isn't about just, oh, because I'm gonna come in, here's your citation.
Right,
or not.
right.
But that person is actually trying to take on the teaching and changing behavior and consequences and what that looks like. I actually think it's really positive.
I do
We
too.
did do
I
some
do too.
mentoring of students where actually they sat and like hung out every, I think it was Monday morning, just to touch base to kind of start the week off well. So that, and again, I don't know how it's documented, but we did that too.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's it's like community policing in a school.
Right.
Okay. And, I mean, a combo of course, I want Jeremy to be nice, but I also think students need to be like, whoa, I'm in trouble. Like, if I do something like next time I'm in big trouble, and what comes with that, and, when you can have a police officer share that message, it's different than their teacher, who is like, well, what are you gonna do? Like, I mean, so I think it's really positive, even though, whew, looks like you had your work cut out. But, yeah.
The next page just shows citations issued in each of the buildings over the course of the year.
And, yeah, what do you mean by a citation?
A ticket,
Okay, a ticket.
so it could be, like baby ticket, like a
Possession.
Okay.
possession of physical
Okay.
property, yeah.
Okay, so are these are like they're city ordinances? City ordinances, okay, that's, okay.
So it's kind of twofold, you know, we talked about disciplines, and we're not hard enough, but yet we're giving citations, so it's a little bit, you know, I mean, if they're doing it on school grounds, it's an automatic citation. So, but also with our in-depth program, we talked about in the last board meeting, trying to educate families, educating the students on changing the behavior. That's the ultimate goal. Yeah. And then the last one was the juvenile referral chart. So, see the numbers there?
Okay, so I don't see any drugs.
They're not broken down into different categories.
With the citations, possibly, that's all.
Was there any like possession of marijuana or any type of controlled substances?
And under nature of assistance request, it has alcohol.
Yeah, alcohol, I see alcohol
Yeah.
and nicotine.
Right.
I understand,
No.
but I want to say that's kind of, we don't have a drug problem in the school.
Yeah. You know, again, personal opinion, I think it's one of the best investments we have made is having that presence.
And you can see in his notes on his second page, is, you know, meeting with staff and talking with them about what's going on in their life, making that connection again. I think we keep going back to that, and, you know, whether it's a mentor, whether it's a small talk, or how to make a positive impact. I think, you know, if we can collectively, as the district, you know, keep doing that, but also holding kids accountable, you know, I think that's our goal. Yeah.
Good work. So I would entertain a motion to approve the SRO report.
Also more.
I'll second that. It's been moved and seconded to approve the SRO report for the 24-25 school year. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 11 is legislative update. I don't have anything specific. Anyone else? Okay. Then item 12, public comments per school policy 187. I don't believe we have any tonight. Item 13, future agenda items. State School Board Convention. I'm going to ask folks to look at the calendar for January. And the advanced learning report is coming up. New staff introductions will be next month. And then policy 454, reporting child abuse and neglect. Is that a new that's not a new policy, that's a revised policy?
Revised, it's the last one was 2018.
Okay.
There's been some new wording also added that needs to be considered, and there's some options from WASB to choose. Elise and I are working on that.
Okay. Any other things that members would like to add?
Starting in September, we have students again.
Yep.
Okay.
We already have the students, they just.
On vacation.
Yeah, it's just hard to get them here.
Mary Ann, can I add something?
Yeah.
You had mentioned that either the last board meeting or before, there's something in October in Stevens Point. Can we get a count of who's going to that for September so we can get that budgeted?
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. That is something I would like to add. It would be the Wisconsin Rural Schools Alliance meeting. It's actually at the end of October. I understand that the administrative team is going to be attending. Yeah, end of October.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Jason told me. I don't told you that. Yeah. October 30th and 31st. It's in Point. It's a statewide conference in Point. It's a usually great conference. It's all rural school districts. It's a great opportunity for networking as well as learning, you know, from our peers in rural schools. I've been to it several times. So it's the 30th and the 31st. The main event is the 30th, so like, for example, if you can only get away for one day, I would recommend the 30th, because the 31st is a Friday and they knock off at like noon or after lunch or something like that. So if folks could check their calendars and we could, discuss that on the September, agenda. One other thing that I would like to have on a future agenda item is the Panther Fitness, Community Fitness Center. I would like an update
Yes.
on opening that up to 24/7 access. I would like that on the.
Pam, can you share some information on that? I mean, Jason said it's in kind of sitting on your plate.
Well, it is, but there's so many other projects that took precedence. But right now we've got, the draft of the application for full-time usage, other than the free rate. And we were going to leave, where they would only have, like, people could still only pay for the limited use when it's attended. They could pay for that or the full 24-hour, 24/7 one, because not everyone's going to want the full. So we weren't gonna raise the pricing for everyone. And then it was just, it had to go to legal and review, just the language being that there would be people here overnight when there was no staff here. And what was our legal issue if someone was hurt, had a heart condition, had a heart issue, that type of thing? What's our, yes, we have liability protection as a school district, but what is our other, is there anything we need to be concerned with? That was pretty
So
much.
have they got back to us yet?
Not for that piece, no, because I've said it yet. Jason,
Also,
we
got
just met on it
that.
a short time ago, and all of those pieces, so I just haven't gotten it to, our insurance to have legal look at it.
So this could be a whole other month before this.
I would think it would only take them a week or two once I get it,
Okay.
so it shouldn't take too long.
Yeah,
All my audits are over.
I would like to wrap this up
Yes.
in September. Wrap it up and.
I have more questions on that than anything else.
It is funny to think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing to care about.
It's a good thing, yeah, we want people healthy.
Okay. Anything else for a future agenda item? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Enjoy the daylight.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's just